Yeah, what's up, party people? Welcome to the video. Today we are going to talk about fraction of pew 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 fraction of. This really is just a continuation of the work we've been doing with the products of fractions. So again, we are going to be thinking about products. That's right, products or multiplication with the use of fractions. And we're gonna like dive in and kind of play around with like a lot of what we've seen in the other sense of like what starts to happen when we have something like 2/3 of 9, right? A scenario of like, oh gosh, I have 9 cookies and my dog ate 2/3 of them. Like, how many cookies would be left? That is what this work is. Now, the cool thing is that this is products because we'll kind of talk about that a little more, but because when we're dealing with a fraction, numerator over a denominator, and we see that word of, then of translates to multiplication. So that's a pretty good trick of understanding with this concept of fractions and the word of. There's a hint towards multiplying. So you might see that in some word problems that is pretty helpful. So we're going to play around with that today. We obviously have some steps to help us make sense of it. I don't know if I'll really list those steps out. I just want you to kind of think about, well, yeah, I probably should. Anyway, let's move on. So let's dive into it. So we're going to actually take this one. Let's do this one. We'll start with this one right away. So 2/3 of 9. So again, that's what we're saying here is like, again, if I had 9 things, well, what is 2/3 of them? Um, I don't know if I had $9 and I spent 2/3 of my money, how much money would I have left, right? So that's the scenario. So this is what is kind of known as a fraction set. Because really I'm creating a set of things to help me. And that's kind of the first step is that we do create a model that is, I would consider an array. I think that's deeper understanding, right? I have 9 things. Well, I have a couple way of modeling that, right? When I think about 9, I could model that in a way that shows that I have a 3 by 3 array. I could also show like a 9 by 1 array. Um, and I'm gonna go ahead and start with the 3 by 3 array. But again, this is a set. So I have these 9 things. So I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There we go. Right. So there's my 9 items. Now I think what's super helpful is I'm gonna create that border around it so it does look like an array, which it really is. It's rows and columns, right? And I have 3 rows and 3 columns. So that's step 1, right? We have 9 things. This may seem similar to the egg problem, right? We have 9 items. Now, what I'm trying to figure out is how much would it be if I had 2/3? Well, that brings me to my next question or my next step. And my next step is I'm going to use the denominator to think about how many groups I have. I'm going to say denominator groups, right? And according to this, I have 3 groups. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to make those groups, right? See what I do here? I'm going to take that array. There's the first group right there. I'm going to call that first. And then right here would be a second group. See what I'm saying? I'm making 3 equal groups. This would be my second group. And this right here is my third group. Right, because that's how I can and separate this up into it as I divide it with my 2/3. And then from there, I'm just gonna shade this because this is what's gonna get me the answer. I'm gonna shade the numerator. Numerator. Sorry, I shouldn't have split it like that. So according to this information, well, 2 of these 3 groups, so here's 1 group and 2 groups is what I have. And so this actually gives me my answer because if you look and we're asking that question, 2/3 of 9, well, that's 1 item, 2 items, 3 items, 4 items, 5 items, 6 items. That means 2/3 of 9 is 6. So I guess if we really think about that, some of those scenarios I said, right? I had 9 cookies and 2/3 of them my dog ate. Well, then my dog ate 6 cookies. The other way to look at this, which got a little tricky as I thought about it, if I had $9 and I spent 2/3 of it, well, how much do I have left? I actually have $3 left, right? Because this would actually be the leftover. So I couldn't help with that little extra piece. But this is the work we do. If you can see with this, we're actually really modeling what we have. We're creating arrays. We're putting them into these equal groups that the denominator tells us about. And then we just shade in the numerators, which tells me how many of those pieces I really have. So let's try another one. Let's dive in. Let's just keep rolling with this. I hope this is feeling pretty comfortable already. We're going to say 3/4 times 12. So again, I'm going to put times this time, but remember that just means of, right? What is 3/4 of 12? Well, again, if I have 12 things, right? And that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to make that array that shows 12 things. And so with 12, I actually have some other options as well as how to build that array, right? I could build an array that's 2 by 6, right? This, I could build an array that's 3 by 4. I could build an array that's 1 by 12. Okay, that's not 12, but you get my point. 1 by 12. Those are all different ways that I can, or factors or ways I can multiply to get to 12. So let's see here. I don't know. I'll build a 2 by 6 is the first one I did here. So let's do that. So what I'm gonna again make 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm gonna make 2 rows of that. And that would be 12 items, right? You can see there. And again, to help see it, I do think it's a really good technique. I guess you don't have to dot it. Actually, do we? I don't know. I'll just put a square around it. Ridiculous. I don't know why I was like making it dotted. Yeah, or a rectangle. So there you go. So there's my array. Now, in this case now, we're going to go ahead and do that next step where I already did that color. Let's do this. I'm going to make my groups, right? And the groups, this is the part that I think gets difficult and confusing. This comes from my denominator. What it's saying is this model I have of 12 items, I'm actually going to divide into 4 groups. So let's see here. Oh wait, what? One down the middle, right? Okay. All right, wait. So, all right, wait, I'm struggling because this would be the first group, second group, third group, fourth group. But I hope you're as confused as me because if you look at this, like things are kind of whacked out, right? Look at the way the lines go. They're like cutting some things up. It does work with creating this rectangle. But yeah, I don't like this. This doesn't actually work. And that's gonna happen sometimes. I'm actually reflecting on the fact that as I tried to just blatantly cut this into 4 parts, it didn't really work evenly. So I gotta go back and really think about like, oh, how would I break these into 4 groups? Which takes me back to math, right? I actually have 12 items and I am dividing them into uh groups of 4. And if I was to do that, that actually tells me I need 3 in each group. So actually, that would be one section, right? That would be another section. See what I'm doing? See how I'm actually getting 3 in each one? This would be another section, and that would be another section. So I actually have created um these parts here, right? And again, if I shade it in 3, so here's 1, 2, 3. And I hope again you see what I did there. Like notice how it's not even, I'm just really creating the groups and the groups needed to have 3 in them. So I'm not really making this perfect array, but I am creating these equal groups within this box. And I think that's a way to really think about how we model this. So if I shaded in 3 of these, well, let's look how many I have. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 3/4 of 12 is 9. So again, another scenario being whatever. I have 12 I don't know, socks, and 3/4 of them are missing. So I'm now missing 9 socks. Wow. I don't even know where that example came from. That one was kind of weak. So there you have it. Again, sorry, I forgot our third step over here. So that's where we shade the numerator. Because that's our answer. Shade the numerator. That will give you the answer. That's what we did here, right? This was one group, two groups, three groups. I did put it into four groups. Here's the fourth group, but I don't need that fourth group because it's 3/4. Okay. So again, this is the skill. Like you actually really do have to be thinking about how do you model this? Because we all know we can find an answer. You've all found an answer. You've all been able to say, oh, well, actually, and I'm going to do that real quick. Let's do this. 3/4 times 12. You've already recognized that I'm going to take 3 times 12. So that equals 36 over 4. 36 divided by 4 equals 9. Like you have an answer, but this is the work. How do you model it to really show it? So that's really what we're trying to do at is that deeper conceptual understanding of this. Okay, let's do one more. I'm going to put it up, and then this is always where I like to encourage you to pause the video and see if you can't solve it yourself. So we're going to do 3/5 of 20. Remember, before you pause, that of means multiply. Okay, so I hope you've paused and tried to solve this, and let's look at what you've done in your journal, and let's put this together. So again, if I'm doing 3/5 of 20, right, that first thing is I'm going to make that array. So I'm going to think about how I build that group. I could do it with a 4/5, because that equals 20. I could do it with a 2/10, that equals 20. I could do a 1 times 20, that equals 20, right? These are all different ways I could build my model. Actually, you know what? This time I think I'm just gonna, instead of drawing the circles, I'm gonna build that array. Let's see if that works. This should be fun. Sorry, I didn't even plan this till now, but let's do it. I don't know. I'm gonna guess most of us probably did 4/5. Now remember, if you did any of these, that's fine. So I don't want you to stress. It's always about like what's more efficient. But like I said, this time, actually, instead of drawing the circles and making 20 of them, I'm literally gonna do a 4 grid by a 5 grid. 1, 2, 3, 4. So here's 5/4. Okay. So again, I mean, again, like I said, I didn't draw the circles, but you could imagine that there's a circle in each one of these. And you probably did that too. I just was thinking, I don't know why I keep doing this because I'm just going to get rid of them. I was just thinking this could be another way to think about that model and look at it. So knowing that, the next thing is that we have to put this into that denominator. We have to think about our groups based on the denominator. And the cool thing is, and this is why this worked, is I was being intentional because I saw 5 here. Therefore, I used 5 as one of the numbers that was part of my array because now I have my 5 groups. Look, here's one group, right? Here's the second group. It's literally my rows. Here's my third group, my fourth group, my fifth group. And then according to this last piece, sorry, I was just like trying to find a good color. Oh, I don't know if I've used this color in a while. Oh, that's pretty fun. It's pretty dark. It probably looks like all the others, but it's different, trust me. In this case, we're just going to shade the numerator. And again, this doesn't say 3 pieces because in this case, it's actually 3 of my parts. So that's 1 part, 2 parts, right? I hope you're seeing that again. And then here's my third part. And so then when I think about how many that is, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pieces. So 3/5 of 20 is equal to 12. Let's double check that super fast. 3 times 20 is 60 divided by 5. So yeah, okay, that works. All right. So there you have it. This is a really good way to do the work. And this is what I want you to try out is like really try to model it and make deeper understanding of this instead of just saying, well, I know I'm going to take 3 times 20 and then I'll divide it by 5 and and that's fine. You can double check that way, but really practice this array system out because when you think about it, like again, look at, I was intentional here. I actually picked 5 over here because I saw 5 here because I was like, oh, that's going to work really good. I could have drawn a model of 2/10, and then I might have had to have cut it up in a different way that looks a little bit funkier like this one, right? Whereas this, I hope as you look at it, maybe you're seeing, oh, you know what? The 3/4 grid would have been way better. This one would have been way better because there's a 4 right there. So I already had my 4 groups waiting for me. Anyway, I'm gonna leave you at that. Again, as always, when you have questions, ask. Keep up the good work. This is awesome, and we'll catch you next time when we do this again. Peace.